Sophia Jam and Swirls, a little taste of heaven.
Fitzgerald once wrote, "There are no second acts in American lives," but perhaps he was wrong. NBC's chief financial correspondent Ann Thompson caught up with a woman who started Gymboree and has since battled her demons, reinvented herself, and learned some important life lessons along the way.
It took Joan Barnes years to find this kind of serenity. Though you may not know her name, you'll know the company she built in the 80s. And the practice that is the foundation of the company she's building today.
Yoga gives me a sense of balance, a sense of inner knowingness. It connects me with something higher than myself.
Does it keep your life in balance?
Without a doubt. First thing on my calendar goes my yoga class.
Is that the one thing you won't do without?
That's the one thing I won't do without, absolutely.
The dancer, raised in Winnetka, Illinois, like so many of her generation, made her way to San Francisco.
Classic hippie. The Volkswagen camper, pregnant, barefoot, no job, didn't know where I was going to live, just go west, young woman.
Feeling isolated with 2 young daughters, Joan started a playgroup that became the multi-million-dollar enterprise, Gymboree.
I wish I could say, oh, I had this grand strategic vision. I knew it was going to be a public company and we're going to have retail stores and da-da-da-da, but not so. It really just came from my heart, this idea of having families and children together.
The colorful play and retail centers were soon franchised around the world, with Joan leading the way. Helping the former hippie raise money was venture capitalist Bud Jacobs.
She sold the sizzle, so to speak. You know, you couldn't say no to Joan. You could tell she had the strength of understanding people and the marketplace.
In 1990, with more than 400 Gymboree franchises, Joan seemed to be on top of the world.
I was mistaken to think I could have it all, that I could be a fabulous wife, a terrific mother, a great friend, a great daughter, and a great businesswoman.
In fact, in the parlance of the 80s, Superwoman had a problem.
Superwoman had a problem. I had a serious eating disorder. I was a bulimic. I was running so hard to keep up with this image and this facade and all that I was creating, but I felt bereft and empty on the inside.
It cost her dearly. Her 20-year marriage fell apart, and so did Joan. She left the company and spent a year in a clinic.
And I said, I feel like I'm getting brainwashed here. And they said, your brain needs washing.
What did you learn from that experience?
I learned to develop a new relationship with food and my body, and to be grateful for the strength and resiliency that all of our bodies basically have. I learned to start to listen deeply inside and to find the truth for me inside of me.
It took years before she felt strong enough to return to San Francisco. It was then she became serious about yoga.
Oh, I tried it throughout the years. I thought it was the silliest thing in the world.
But that silly thing would bring Joan, now nearly 60, peace and once again the chance for prosperity. Her company, Yoga Studio, has grown tenfold since she bought it 9 years ago, and there are plans to expand.
I'm hoping to make a business out of the best of the spiritual and the best of the material worlds. To marry this ancient spiritual practice and also have it work as an economic force in the world.
But it's not just a practice she's selling, it's a way of life. Everything from what you eat, to what you wear, to the music you listen to. But this time for adults.
We should probably cover it.
And as for those 2 little girls who were the impetus for Gymboree, Megan and Cecily are now adults.
Yeah, but too late now.
What advice do you give to your 2 daughters now?
I tell them to listen to their hearts, to do what's right for them. And the 80 acres, wow, it's not.
So how are you different as a businesswoman today than you were 20 years ago?
Mainly, I'm not a perfectionist. I'm not a perfectionist.
How do you stop being a perfectionist?
For me, when I realized that life will never be perfect, and perfect doesn't get you anywhere anyway, there's always another perfect plateau up there. It's just, I just live and let live.
Let me ask you something from your whole experience. Can you have it all?
No. My experience, no.
Can you have it all at different times?
I think that that is the art of life.
The art of life in balance. For today, Ann Thompson, NBC News, San Francisco.
A nice message. Well, now here's Al.
Today's Kitchen.